So, hello, let's go. We have Vedran here once again.
Oh Lord.
After two things that I had to do by myself.
Oh, poor you.
Are we going to get this one out together with the episode about 6002, or are we going to just leave them alone?
Nah, we're going to do that separately.
Okay, so you probably heard almost everything that you need to know about 6002. Now let's be less. Let's be more creative and be. I'm searching for the word. Let's try to be less stressful today. Let's talk about failures.
Okay, that's if that's not an inverse logic, then nothing is. But let's go.
Yes, but people like to talk about other people's failures, especially if they're spectacular.
Oh, I agree.
So today we are talking about spectacular technical failures. I don't know what Vedran prepared for you. I know what I did. And the new thing that I'm trying to push to see if it works is going to be that today we are going to have a slideshow.
Yay! For the first time, second time ever. Third time ever.
So we are going to try to be more on point when it comes to at least something to look at while you're listening to us going on and on and on about the same things.
Okay.
So without further ado, let's do the intro. This is the ThatITShow.
Okay, Mr. Master Blaster. The first part of the slideshow is all yours because you made the first half. So
yes, I think that I have, for some reason or the other, today I'm behaving like an old radio host. So let's go, and so on. I don't know what's going on with me.
Nah.
It's I think I have read too many students' assignments today, and I think my mind is completely fried. But on the other hand, not as fried as the mind of people who did all those things.
Mm-hmm.
What you are seeing right now is something that some of you may remember as one of the greatest failures. The reason why I put it as the first one is because it actually is one of the greatest failures. The thing that we are looking at is called Jero. Jero was, and it was for a very, very short time, an idea of creating a machine that is able to make fresh juice. The twist was that the juice should be pressed directly from the sachet or the small bag that is going to contain fresh fruits and fresh vegetables that are going to be pre-prepared, so you can use the machine and then get your juice completely pressed out when you want it, and it is going to be in the best possible shape available. The thing is, the machine cost something like $700 when it came out. Development was also extremely expensive, and the main reason for this is that the machine is designed in such a way that the bags that you see right on the screen are not pressed in a way that everybody thinks they should be pressed, so by rollers. No, the machine is designed so that it exerts the force on the entire bag at once. So it's a big press. And if you had any engineering experience, you know that it is much harder to produce enough force if you multiply the area that you're pressing on. So basically, what they did is they created an enormous press, and then they needed to create this to be a mass market product. Obviously, they failed. The other thing that they failed at is that you had to buy the bags of fruits or vegetables as a subscription service. So you had to buy them. You had to subscribe to the juices that you want to buy, and each vegetable bag was something like $7 or $8 a piece. So
Oh, I needed this.
yes, the next thing, this has a shelf life. So your basically your subscription is dependent on the speed of your delivery, because they need to be refrigerated. So from start to finish, this wasn't a pretty bright idea. Please go to the next slide. This is Juicero when it was taken apart, and the thing that all the people on the internet said is that this is an amazing feat of technology. It is an amazing feat of engineering, because as you can see on the left, all the cogs and everything inside is solid aluminum or steel. So this is an amazing machine, but it completely fails to understand the point of the entire thing. And the worst thing is that as soon as this thing came out, one of the reviewers tried to squeeze out the bag with the fruits by using his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He had something like 10% less juice in half the time without using the juicera.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the final nail in the coffin, and they just quickly gave up on it. Price was slashed to something like $400, because this is considered cheap in
Porsche circles.
In the world that needs fresh juice pressers. And then they went out of business, and Juicero was just a history part.
I have a question.
Just one more thing. The part of the machine was the barcode scanner, so you couldn't squeeze anything other than the actual juices that you bought as a subscription. So you weren't able to use it unless you scanned the barcode of the bag. You had to be connected to the internet in order to do this. And the third thing is that if your bag was out of date, the machine refused to squeeze it.
Of course.
So I don't know. I when I see something like this, I usually think that I would like to be the guy who can watch the initial pitch, initial meeting, and I'm not talking about watching the guy who's presenting. I'm watching the guy who bought this and decided to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into this.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
So your question?
Actually, there are two, but I can shrink them into one. Obviously, people who made this did not understand the history of, let's say, similar products, and or watched a movie like Coming to America. That's all I'm going to say.
I think that the thing that we are missing here is the thing that is a problem when it comes to venture capital. A person who is creating an amazingly bad idea like this one is usually the person who knows the least about the engineering. And the engineers are just waiting for a opportunity to experiment on such a product. Because nobody sane is going to give you enough money to experiment on creating such a small mass product press. So if you're an engineer, I think that you are going to be inclined to just go and work for the product that is going to obviously fail, because you want to get the experience. Because otherwise, nobody is going to pay you to try to work on something like this.
Can I be a little bit reductive for a second? And
yes.
Again, one sentence only. Hence the reason why I mentioned the movie. The good people of the USA figured out the solution to all of these problems long time ago. It's called frozen orange juice.
Yes, but you're not being
posh enough.
Bay Area enough.
I disagree.
This is the Bay Area thing. This is the thing that can only be justified by people who are creating a culture of fresh drinks, fresh fruits, fresh everything, avocado sandwiches, and so on.
People working at Google and other companies.
Yes, paying six times.
Okay.
Six times the price for the small apartment because they want to be near where they work, and then they work from home. Yes.
Okay. I got it. Holy moly!
Okay.
What a piece of.
No. It was an amazing piece of engineering. I'll give it that.
No,
But
as
it
a
was
product. As a product. That's what I wanted to say.
yes, as an idea, as a product, completely missed the point. Missed the several points. Missed the whole page of points. But then again, give me the next slide, please.
Are all of your spectacular failures as good as this one?
No, this one is just to get you acquainted to the
Warmed
opportunities that await you.
Okay.
This one is even more amazing because people actually think that this was a product that made some money.
Okay.
This is Segway. When it came out, it was 2001, so 20 years ago.
Okay.
This is the X2 model, so the second model of the Segway, because the first one was a little bit less complicated when it comes to controls, but it was much harder to ride, and it was much more prone to getting people to fall over. One of the things that happened in the first model was that if you ignored the battery warnings, this machine would simply stop working. And since the battery working is one of the prerequisites for the machine to keep its balance, it would just stop in its tracks and you would just fall over the tracks. So basically, if you ignore the machine, it would just throw you over and say, "Okay, I'm done with you."
Welcome to the machine.
Let's start at the beginning. Segway was the thing that was when it came out, was an idea of a guy called Dean Kamen. The thing is that in Croatian, Kamen means a rock, so this would be a Dean rock when dealing with him. But what he did is he tried to create something called a human transporter, and then rename it to personal transporter. And the idea was that he was going to create a machine for the last mile of your journey. So the idea of this was to either be in your car, in the trunk of your car, so you can park somewhere and then go riding across the city, or to be used if you are near, and by near I mean 10 or so kilometers from home, and you can go to the city without using your car. The idea itself was okay, but the price was the problem. This thing costs $5,000 when it came out. And it was using the old style of batteries, so nickel cadmium batteries. So it took a whole lot to get charged. It was heavy, so you couldn't just log it along to your office. You had to put it somewhere. And it was unwieldy to use. And the other thing is that as soon as people saw it, the first reviews said that this is going to be bigger than the internet.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And 3 years later, the thing does not exist anymore. To be completely honest, I tried to drive a Segway. It is a nice thing if you have a large flat surfaces, like in a city, and by in a city I mean in pedestrian zones.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like going up and down the curbs.
Bumps.
And especially bumps are okay if your knees are okay, because it doesn't have any way of softening the blows of the bumps. But the thing is that all of these things are just were too expensive. They didn't make too much sense. Way until the market actually didn't want them. Mm-hmm. So what they did is they sold something like, I think the number is something like 140,000 units across the entire time it was selling. So across 21 years while it was on, or 19 years, sorry, because this thing went out of production in 2020. Mm-hmm. And they're still used by some agencies like ambulances and police in some countries, mm-hmm. because they do make sense with large wheels and in a city center.
I have a question.
They're quick to...
Yeah.
Yes?
So you mentioned some of the problems, but I am kind of noticing one problem that combines two of your problems into a much bigger one. So
Yes.
mentioned the problem with the batteries, old style,
Okay.
which meant that they were very difficult to charge, took a lot of time, and then they were also very heavy. So that's one thing.
Okay.
The second thing, this thing is not exactly very small, and it's metal, so it's all together, even without looking at the batteries, it's heavy. Okay?
Yes.
When driving this at speed, heavy and speed, when you calculate those two things like momentum together, if something happens, like a bump, like a speed hump, like something, you are going to get seriously injured. You know, because you
Uh,
know what I want to say. So this doesn't look all that safe to me. Having those parameters in mind.
I think I tried it. It wasn't that bad to drive. I wouldn't drive it in the maximum speed because maximum speed was something like 20 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, my point exactly.
So it wasn't slow, but it makes sense. It has some kind of sense as a product, but the problem was the price.
Okay.
Because for that price you can buy an actual car. And you can buy a small electric car, or you could buy a small electric car for the amount of money that they were expecting you to buy this, because they created basically two models. One was the models you can see on the image from the Wikipedia. You can see two models: the normal model and the large wheel model. But on the other hand, you also could buy something called commercial grade and industrial grade version of this that had a longer range. It was quicker than the consumer version, but it was also more expensive. And the funny thing is that in 2009, Segway was actually bought by another US inventor or investment banker who decided to invest in bought the entire company. And then he actually died while riding Segway because he drove into a river.
That's not a good omen.
No, that's not a good marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So after this, long after this, this thing got bought by the main competition. And the main competition was the company from China. I need to look it up. Just give me a second. Ninebot.
Okay.
And the Ninebot was actually, when it came out, Segway was threatening that they're going to sue them because the technology that they were using in their own products was pretty similar to what Segway was doing, but much cheaper. And then after a while, Ninebot just bought this whole Segway company and then discontinued this part of the product line.
Familiar
You
stories.
can now buy those. You can buy those annoying small two-wheel thingies that you can steer with just by moving your body. But this is not near what Segway was because they're much smaller and they're not intended to scale any kind of curb or any kind of non-flat surface.
I drove, usually, I don't drive these things. That's more your area. And I actually drove my accountant's two scooters. So two-wheeled scooters, electrical ones. The smaller one and the bigger one. He's crazy about the scooters, and he has, I think, 3 or 4 of them, and he's buying them like bi-yearly or something. The latest one that he bought is from UK, something very big and very expensive, and it has suspension. So I drove that one all over his neighborhood when I went to him to give him some papers for his accounting job that he does for me. And I drove around. It was in the evening, so the neighborhood was empty. I was jumping around on the curbs and everything. That one was actually quite comfortable to drive, which only further proves the fact that the bigger ones, the latest technology with suspension, actually do make sense. In our city, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with this. These sorts of scooters in our city, with all of the speed bumps, all of the curbs, and especially all of the potholes, if you don't have the some kind of a suspension, you are going to break your back or something, or knees, or something. It's just plain suicide to drive those things at speed, because you don't want to drive that slowly.
Yes, but the other thing is that the main problem that we all have with all this scooters, personal mobility devices, however you call them, is that people always want to have them be faster, be larger, be better at battery life, and so on and so on. So they quickly become an annoyance.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are not what you would call disciplined drivers.
Yep.
And I have driven a scooter that also had suspension, but it had 2 times 1.5 kilowatts of motors for the front and the back drive, so 3 kilowatts of power. And this was seriously dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they are limited to something like 75 kilometers an hour. If you want, you can take that limit off just by doing the software upgrade. And I have seen a model that has 5 kilowatt motors, and then it can go over this to something like 7 kilowatts in peak consumption, and it is capable of doing 120 kilometers an hour.
The one that I drove was roughly around 70-80 kph.
Yes, and the thing is that when you are driving on a small scooter that has wheels the size of Big Mac,
A plank.
you are basically an organ donor.
Yeah, exactly that. Hence the reason why I usually say you're better off with a car.
Yes, I switched from my scooter to my car because I wanted to when I got my kid, because I decided that enough is enough.
Yeah, your life was actually precious. And still is.
I wouldn't call it precious, but I liked it.
Yeah, you like surviving, especially in our roads.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one wasn't so spectacular, but it made actually no sense. It created a piece of the market that nobody paid any attention to until the guys from China came into the market and created a thing that actually made sense because it was cheap. Okay, the next one.
There you go.
Oh, the Google Glass.
Oh, God, no.
The main sign that you are an idiot who is willing to spend $1,500 to wear a low resolution screen on your eye. You are also going to get monovision, so you can only look at the screen and with one eye. Resolution was abysmally small. Okay, to be fair, the batteries were okay, but besides making it look like a dork, this one didn't make any sense. It was too big, too unwieldy, too expensive for most of the people. But this was before when Vision Pro came out.
I was actually going to ask you to perhaps have an honorable mention.
No. The honorable mention is the Vision Pro, and we are going to talk about this as soon as we finish with this one. But this was introduced by Google.
I do have a complaint. This one makes you look like a dork. The hell does Google Vision Pro make you look like then?
A diver.
No, it doesn't.
You look like a stupid diver. You look like somebody who didn't take off his diving gear, and you just. But I think that this one was meant to make you look cool all the time. Vision Pro is more or less designed to make you look like you are working, and you have the money to spend. Because this one, compared to Vision Pro, this one was cheap. This one was $1,500. Vision Pro is $3,500. So this one was cheap. But on the other hand, I think that the best part of the Google Glass was the introduction. If you remember the introduction they did in the Moscone in San Francisco.
Vaguely, I do remember that.
They got a group of skydivers to parachute down to Moscone and then deliver the Google Glass to the I think it was Brin on the stage. But the thing is that this one was too expensive. It didn't have any applications on it. It was severely limited by technology back in the day, and it didn't make any sense when it came out because people don't like being actually recorded. And when there is a camera constantly pointed at your face, you suddenly become nervous, and you don't want to talk to this person.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things when the entirety of the application is the camera, and the biggest part of the machine is the camera, because this is the most annoying part. Suddenly you think that this person is something that who is recording you all the time, although, to be also completely honest, you weren't able to record all the time because the battery would run out.
Yeah.
So this one was a failure. Then there was an enterprise version of this that is supposed to be better a couple of years later, that when Google tried to save this project, but it slowly faded away as with the rest of the Google's projects.
On the Google junkyard.
Yes, Google graveyard, yes. So now the reiteration that we are calling Vision Pro is similar, but I think that it is going to have the same fate. It is going to go into the books as a failure, but for a different reason.
Okay.
I think that Vision Pro makes sense.
I don't.
The technology is there, but I think that the problem is that A, you look like a dork, and B, they're trying to push it as a mainstream product that costs $3,500. It's not mainstream.
That's just like saying that Tesla is the mainstream product.
Tesla was supposed to be a mainstream product, but they were supposed to have a car that is going to be cheap, because they were aiming for a $30,000 car.
Yeah.
But somehow they always end up with a base model that you cannot buy, and then much more expensive models that you have to buy or you can buy. Vision Pro doesn't have a cheaper model.
Yeah.
It has more expensive models, but doesn't have a cheaper model.
Okay.
I think that the idea is that we are going to see much more of a lesser technology but cheaper products on the market soon. As soon as the people realize that some of the things that Vision Pro did were okay. I am not against what they're doing. I'm against the way they're doing it.
Okay.
Google Glass was just completely the way that they were doing it, what they were doing, and the idea behind it. Okay, there is also a Snapchat glasses that did the same thing. There is right now you can buy. I think you can buy Ray-Bans with integrated camera for Snapchat right now, but they are not as annoying as Google Glass, because Google Glass was trying to get you into the internet, always connected internet things. It was trying to be your assistant and so on, but technology wasn't there, so it just looked stupid.
Yeah, it looks like an IoT device with a camera stuck on top of your head.
Yes, it is, and the other thing is that it wasn't able to directly connect to the internet, so you had to provide it with some way of connecting.
Of course, you had to have a mobile phone tethered to internet so that you can wirelessly connect.
Yes.
Oh man.
Okay, the next one.
Okay.
So, do you know what this is?
Is this Zune?
Yes.
Finally, I know a product.
So this one was one of those things that Microsoft was doing because they were Microsoft.
Do you know how I recognized it?
No.
Because of the font.
The UI.
The font.
Yes, the UI font.
Yeah.
This is the thing that Microsoft did. I think that this product was as well thought out as iPods were.
Okay.
Because it was a direct. Let's say response to what iPods were. But the thing is that Microsoft did a few things wrong. First of those was that it didn't make any sense to have iPods, didn't have the Zune without the backing of the application, or the thing that the application store or the song store, the Apple Music store. And the other thing was that it just was a copy of something that actually made sense. So the font is correct because Microsoft actually did a good job of developing this thing, and I think it was developed probably as good as what iPod had at that particular moment. The only thing that it lacked was the music store, because what Apple did is they didn't only create a device, they also created a store to back the device up. They enabled you to upload your MP3s to the iPods and get them on the run and so on. And the other thing is that it just looked like Microsoft. It wasn't cool. It was plasticky. It was just another player that was between those cheap players that you could buy in any conceivable technical store and the iPod that was expensive. So they tried to make it look cool. The design was, I would call it okay. I like this design with these fonts and I like the idea of the UI that they had. But as a whole, they spent a whole lot of money on something that didn't make too much sense. It was just not designed for the market that you didn't look cool with this. You just look like you are trying to look cool but don't have the money for the iPod.
Yeah, so my perspective on the story, I went to a couple of cheap MP3 players, as you mentioned, that you could buy in any convenience store probably, and then I just got bored with that and just bought iPod Touch and never looked back.
Yes, this is the thing.
Yeah.
You just didn't go middle of the road, and this is a middle of the road device that is too plasticky to be a device that you would be proud of.
So were the
also
smaller iPods were also very plasticky, the minis.
Yes, but the minis were intended to look like small plastic iPods, but they were created or manufactured.
Yeah, it was a better product, definitely.
So this one was just one of those things where Microsoft lost a lot of money trying to become something, and this is going to be a recurring theme because a little bit later, Microsoft bought Nokia.
Oh Lord!
And this font was something that was used in Windows Phone, if you remember.
Oh, that's exactly the reason why I recognized it.
Yes, and this was the font that they used in their next endeavor when they were trying to establish themselves as the phone manufacturer by buying Nokia and then creating their own line of phones, which also wasn't bad, but it didn't have a store, and there were no applications for it.
There were, but not enough.
Yes, but when you start something like this, when your competition has something like 300,000 applications, 400,000 applications, 500,000 applications on the store, and you are starting your store with 70, not 1,000 but 70 applications, people don't want to wait for the next application to come to the market.
No argument for me.
What you have to do, you have to have at least top 100 most downloaded applications from all the markets already prepared on your market in order to start.
Yeah.
And Microsoft simply didn't do this.
Yeah.
So, as the guy from Google said when the Nokia was bought by Microsoft, two turkeys don't make an albatross.
Yeah.
So this was one of the better comments of Microsoft.
That's
did.
Awesome.
And the thing is that Microsoft is just good at badly executing things that would work for most of the companies, but they are just mis-executing them.
Windows Phone is a perfect example of that.
Yes, and Windows Vista and
don't go to please don't. Windows Phone in this case is a good example because unlike the other products that you mentioned, Windows Phone was a good product.
Yes, the product itself was good,
Yeah.
but the execution was extremely bad.
Yeah, shoddy. Okay.
Okay, the next one.
Okay, there we go.
So, do you know what this is?
I actually have no idea.
This is the future of personal transport.
No, it's
In
not.
the 80s. This one is called Sinclair C5.
Okay.
And this was where Clive Sinclair decided that he's going to invest his money after he was successful in trying to in creating a small computer market. So all the spectrums and everything else that was sold was a way to get the money to invest in something like this. So the idea of this was to be way ahead of its time. This was an electric powered bicycle You can see it has the pedals. It has an electric motor fixed to the left, the back left wheel of the whole thing. And these are the only things that I can say that are good about this.
Why is it good to have a motor strapped to one wheel?
You at least have a motor. So the idea was for you to have a small. It would be much worse if it were just a bike.
Okay.
So the idea was that you could use this to commute to the city and back. Something like Segway was supposed to do, but this was supposed to be. This was intended to be driven for longer distances. And then longer distances, I mean a couple of kilometers probably. It had a lead battery because it was 80s. It had a puny motor that was
Couple of
pushing you
horsepower
forward. Yes, and the thing, but the main thing wasn't this. You see these two pictures. On the left, you can see the actual C5. On the right, you see people from UK who are, of course, they have a club. They are the C5 Owners Club, and they are gathering together to show off their
I love me, my
devices.
Brits.
Yes, you see the usual stickers where the bike, all the places the bike has seen, and so on and so on. The reason why I had to include this image on the right is for people to understand how small this thing actually is. So you are reaching, when you are sitting in it, first, you are, your controls are positioned below your knees. Do you see on the image that everybody who has the foot of pedals, the controls are below the knees. So actually, what you are seeing here is that people have to more or less, I wouldn't call it lie down, but this is not sitting.
Yeah, this cannot be comfortable.
Okay, it can be comfortable, but not for a long time. But the other thing, and this thing is a big thing, is that since you are so low, okay, you cannot turn over. This was the idea because this has 3 wheels.
Okay, low center of gravity, blah blah blah.
I don't have the idea why people from UK always insist of 3 wheels instead of 4 for the modes of transportation that they're doing. I'm calling out Reliant Robin on this one.
Please don't. I have the exact picture and the exact scene from Top Gear in my head right now.
Yes. So this has a lower center of gravity, so it doesn't turn over. But the main problem is that this was supposed to be using roads.
Okay.
So this was not a vehicle that was intended to be driven on the footpaths. And if you are on the road,
that's not going to work with these wheels.
Unless you have something that is going to help you to be seen, like this huge thing on the left image, you have seen this huge thing that looks like a handle. The idea of this is to make you more visible in the traffic.
Traffic lights.
There was also a version that had the flag.
Oh Lord!
So you had the flag, a small flagpole that was something like 1.4 meters long or 1.5 meters long, and then this was the way that you were supposed to be more noticeable in the traffic. So this was one of those great ideas way before its time, and the execution was awful. Also, please note one thing: what is unusual about the image on the left and on the right?
I don't know. They're ugly as hell.
No. The sun. You need special timing if you want to get the images that are going to look like people are not freezing to death and or being rained on. This thing has no way of protecting the passenger or the driver or the person using it. So, does it make sense in the UK? I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
But anyways, it wasn't successful. It is fun to drive. There are a couple of those in Rijeka. You can actually test. They take them out of the storage a couple of times a year, and you can drive them to see how they work. In the Pick a Pocket Museum. and I tried them. They are fun if you are just testing them out, but owning one, investing money in it, and then driving it around, no thanks. There are easier ways to get killed, and this is just plainly stupid.
You know what?
Okay.
What this reminds me of?
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, because I, for some reason, I keep on mentioning this game lately a lot. But you played it as well. Maybe you'll remember. There is a sequence in Full Throttle game on the mine road where there are those weird cat-like mysterious, like a mixture of cat and turtle or something mysterious creatures driving on bikes that look very similar to this, except they look sporty. And they're leaned forwards. That's the only difference. But this reminded me of that heavily for some reason.
I don't think this is by chance, because this was known as a failure when it came out. So
Okay.
because this one was an immediate failure.
Yeah.
Unlike Segway.
Like whew, direct on the nose.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next one.
I can see in the previous screen which are the next ones, and I'm gearing up for a fight, by the way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, do you know what this is?
Web TV!
Yes, also called MSN TV.
Oh, Lord help.
Because Microsoft had to get the amazingly and completely unusable terminal, and decided they're going to be investing in the entertainment market.
Mm-hmm.
So what this thing was, this was basically internet terminal, as it says on the box.
Mm-hmm.
These two were available when this was introduced to the market. You either got a Philips or got a Sony. Smart card was intended to be there for the encryption, so that you can actually get some encrypted materials or encrypted movies streamed to you. But streaming is a little bit overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about 90s, when the internet wasn't so available. Speeds were nowhere near what they are today. So the best that you could expect was, I would say, a bad version of the internet with some potato quality images, and this was at best.
And this is coming from a guy who, just like me, started his streaming career with real video and real audio. Okay.
Yes, but what I didn't do is I didn't invest hundreds of millions of dollars into trying to launch a product based on real media in the 1990s.
And good for you that you didn't.
Yes, for two reasons. Because I didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars, and even if I had those, I wouldn't do it. This product was released when Microsoft was pushing. If you remember the time when Internet Explorer 4 came out. Okay. Do you remember the channels, the active desktop for the Windows?
I vaguely remember that. Yes.
Do you remember the idea of your desktop being an HTML page that would get automatically updated from Microsoft servers?
Like active desktop, something, whatever was it called?
Yes. So it had channels where you could subscribe to basically RSS feeds of different companies. Mm-hmm. But as was with Microsoft at that time, it wasn't called an RSS feed because Microsoft tried to redefine everything and get their money, get the patents on it. And the active desktop was amazingly, from the standpoint of security, amazingly bad idea. Mm-hmm. So this comes from the same guys who are trying to reinvent the internet, reinvent the media, reinvent everything, and this is supposed to be streaming TV. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, where you could count on having a modem.
28.8K at maximum.
Yes, but even if you had something quicker, it wasn't nearly as capable of streaming anything that would be considered normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now for the web TV. After the web TV, what comes next?
The fight.
Okay. Oh, the plate.
If you start dissing this device, you're gonna feel the wrath of me and many other people. Can we agree? On,
I'm not going to.
no, can we agree on one thing? Do you think it was kind of cool?
I think it was completely cool.
Okay.
But I think that it wasn't old enough to be retro, and it wasn't powerful enough to be
Future.
what it was intended to be.
Yeah, agreed.
What they did is that if you take a look at the, okay, let's first say what this is. This is a Nokia Engage. This was supposed to be the gaming platform from Nokia. It was supposed to be a connecting stone between the mobile phone and the gaming platform.
In 2003, mind you.
Yes, 2003. So 20 years ago. If you take a look at this thing, you can see on the left, you can listen to music. You can listen to radio.
Yep.
Or you could listen to radio.
Yep.
Then the rest of the thing is commands for the mobile phone and for the operating system.
Which was Symbian based, by the way.
Yes, it was Symbian based. You have the controls that resemble controls for a console. So you can see that the 7 and 5 are marked as red buttons because they were used in the games. A couple of them that existed.
It was not a couple of them. It was almost 60 games.
Oh, so it's more than a couple. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
well.
Anyways.
Call of Duty, Civilization, Calling McRae, Crash Nitro, FIFA.
Yes, because when you start to lose money, you might as well start losing enormous
spectacularly.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The other thing that is present are the huge connectors for the headphones, and there is a reason for this. Do you see the headpiece anywhere on this part of the phone?
Nope.
So the headpiece is located on the other side of the phone, and you're supposed to be getting your phone near your face when you're talking, perpendicular to the face. So basically, you are just getting the edge of your phone connected to your ear to be able to talk. So imagine me having my phone like this.
Yeah, I remember those days because we had a couple of friends who had them and loved them. You and I actually know a couple of people who had them.
I think that this is one of those things that would probably make it today, but simply because they didn't have enough games, they didn't have enough content, and most importantly, the technology wasn't there.
Yeah.
The screen was too low resolution. The battery didn't last long when we were playing.
All true.
If you wanted to play, you basically lost the mobile, the convenience of a mobile phone, because what you would do, you would just simply get your mobile phone almost immediately empty. Because it took a couple of hours of gaming or working on this phone to
drain battery,
deplete the battery. So this wasn't a console. This wasn't a mobile phone. It was just a thing. And it didn't make too much sense.
Okay.
This is one of those things. It didn't make too much sense. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it didn't make sense. And of course, when something doesn't make sense, people are going to quickly realize that it doesn't make sense and stop buying it. Also, Engage wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And for a phone that was a mediocre phone and a console that had 60 games on it, people weren't willing to buy it. So, as with everything that was bad for it, Nokia just decided to give up. This is supposed to be one of the phones. I'm just going to honorably mention something because I must say that I miss Nokia from those days. Because what they did back in the day is that they weren't afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
They had some stupid ideas. They had some amazing ideas. But the Nokia back way then and the mobile phone manufacturers back way then were much, much, much more inclined to experiment and try different form factors.
Can I interject with a couple of pictures? Because I want to tell you what this reminds me of.
Okay.
Kind of, because you mentioned it wasn't retro enough, and I agree with you. These
Okay.
are some of the things that it reminds me of.
Yes, but it was supposed to remind you of this.
Various different types of these things.
Yes, I know.
So it's kind of plucking at my, retro heartstrings just like yours.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very aware that it was quite unsuccessful and a big flop. It was cool, in a way ahead of its time, but as you said, if only it happened, let's say 15 years later.
I would say even 10 years later would be a better thing, because what they did or what they didn't do is they could do better if they had operating system that would be more capable. Simply because what they did and what all the other players on the market did back then was they were trying to be non-standard enough to be different.
Yeah.
And this standardization was something that was lacking back then, because basically what it meant is that you had to create your games specifically for Nokia Engage. And as big as Nokia was back then, it wasn't big enough to make people create enough applications for it.
Yeah.
Also, the screen was too small to have anything. The screen wasn't, and we must, because we are that old, we must say that this screen wasn't a touch screen. People tend to look at the screen and say, okay, this was touch screen. No, it wasn't a touch screen.
Yep.
You had to use the navigation buttons on the left. So it was a good product. It was a bold product, but it was a failure.
Yeah. No
It was one
argument.
of the biggest failures back then when Nokia existed.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is saying something, because this comes from the guy who tried to create an interface for inputting text just by using a wheel. So,
Okay.
please, the next slide.
There you go. Please,
Oh, do you know what this is?
What in the name of everything that is holy is this? I recognize the
This
connector.
is,
I have no idea what this is.
so, this is 24 years ago. This one is called the QCat.
Okay, I'm getting the cat reference. Please continue.
So the QCat, the idea of QCat was something different. The idea of QCat was that you are going to have a device that is going to be the main intention of the device was to create something that would connect printed media to your computer.
Okay.
So the idea was this: you got this thing plugged into your computer.
Okay.
This thing was basically a modified barcode scanner. You got it for free. You could get it for free from different vendors. And once you got it connected to your computer, it took about an hour to connect it, because it has different drivers. So it took you an hour to make this thing work. Although it had a standard connector, this was connected between your keyboard and the PC.
Okay.
So this is why the connector is
The purple one.
something that that is familiar to you,
Yeah.
because it is a PS2 connector.
Yeah, PS2.
And the idea was this: back in the day, they got contracts with different big companies that are producing printed magazines, like Forbes, I think they had something like
Radio Shack,
couple of
probably.
computer magazines. Probably a couple of them, but the thing was that they got a contract with a lot of companies that are producing content, and those companies, what they did is they created some content that was exclusive for the web users. Back way then, when web was just a small child that had limited capabilities, and you could use this one to scan a barcode under the article.
Okay.
So you could connect through the internet to read or to get rest of the information, And since there were no other ways of connecting and getting to type in the URL for the article itself, what you got was this thing.
Basically, like what we use cameras for barcode readers nowadays. This is the version 0001 alpha of that.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing was it was free. The only thing is that they needed to create a new version of the barcode because there is a copyright patent on the barcode itself. So they tried to reinvent the wheel and they created their own barcode. So this thing wasn't able to read the barcodes unless the actual barcodes. It was using something called Q code or whatever. And you could modify it because people liked it because it was free. So people got a lot of them and tried to modify it to be a normal barcode reader. There was a software for this. They tried to modify it to be different things. They failed because this was a barcode reader. But this was the first thing that was given away free. And this is one of the problems. People realized that an enormous amount of technological junk is being created for no particular reason. If you wanted to use a thing like this, so I don't know, a QCat while you were reading something, you had to read it by your computer. And remember, way back then, computers weren't small. So you actually had to take a newspaper to the computer in order to read something. And it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So more or less they folded after, I'm checking $185 million investment.
Holy moly.
The other thing is that when you wanted to get this thing running, you had to leave the entire information about you, almost including your shoe size. So you had to fill out the questionnaire because they were using this as a proto ad collection service. So once they got you connected, they were able to see who you are. And then they were able to connect you to the articles that you're reading, and then trying to make money out of it. On paper, it looks good, but since reading the paper required a special interface and it was expensive, more or less it was basically folded quickly.
Okay.
I'm just going to take a look because I have notes here. It says that they were distributing those things with Parade, Forbes, and Wired. Forbes distributed 830,000 QCats. Wired mailed 500,000 of those. So, and the price of each one, the manufacturing price, was something like $6.5. So a lot of money went into basically creating free hardware that is going to be just mailed. And almost all of it went into the junk very quickly. So a commercial failure of technology, and basically a failure of understanding what the technology is going to be.
Okay.
Next one, please.
There you go.
Oh, you know what this is?
It looks like some kind of a controller, but I've never seen it actually. I have no idea what it does. Why is it so special?
It is special because it was one of the things that redefined how the console market was supposed to look like. The thing is that they were trying to create, this one is called Ouya, or Ouya, or I'm going to go with Ouya.
Okay.
Ouya, okay. This is supposed to be an Android-based console that would be able to run games.
Okay.
You would, theoretically, you would connect it to the HDMI port on your TV, the cube part, and then you had the controller enabled in order to play the games.
Okay.
So far, so good. The thing is that they were expecting that this is going to be something like $100. This is also okay. But the thing that they was also expecting is that they're going to be launching it in 2013. They actually launched in 2015.
Okay.
And they didn't change the specification of the processor, and they didn't change anything. So what basically happened is that they started on Kickstarter. People started to be anxious. People started to be mad. This was supposed to be cheap. It was, but the problem is that it simply didn't got enough traction because people just started to get afraid that this is not going to ship anytime soon. So bakers went out of it, and basically what happened is that nobody wanted to buy it. So they created a console that had a lot of potential. It was, when it came out as an idea, it was an ideal console on the market because it was cheap, easy to use, and supported by everything. But since it took them 2.5 years to get it to the market to actually have some consoles that people were able to use, by then it was so old and
obsolete.
It didn't make any sense to use. So the reason why this is on this list is because this is one of the biggest Kickstarter success stories or failure stories back in the day, because this one actually raised $3.7 million in 2 days.
Yeah,
from people.
I can understand why.
So this was just a failure to execute. I have one worse than this, but we're going to get to this. This is the last one of mine. Please go to the next slide.
You have one more, yeah.
So, do you know what this is?
Beer fridge that's somehow smart or something?
Yes, the coolest cooler.
Never seen one. I'm just, using my eyes to judge.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Okay.
So basically, imagine this: you create a marketing campaign on the Kickstarter. It doesn't work. You say okay, and then redo it. The next time you try it a couple of months later, this one actually works. It not only works, but it gets funded by $13.2 million and 62,642 backers. So basically, this is a huge success. This is supposed to be.
Okay.
Yes, it's a huge success when it comes to getting the money it was trying to do. The goal was something like $125,000. So it was an amazing success. It was supposed to be a blender. It had this USB speaker, USB charging port, lamps, cooler, bottle opener, plates, knife, and it was supposed to be able to be rechargeable, including a lithium-ion battery.
Okay.
So more or less a good idea if you plan to
barbecue.
If you plan a barbecue or a small picnic, whatever. The thing that was a problem with this was that this was too successful for its for it to exist. If you want to create, I don't know, 40, 50, 100 units of this, you can do it by hand. If you need to create 64,000 units of this, you need to do some serious manufacturing. And when they designed the initial Kickstarter offer, they were planning that they're going to be selling probably 1,000 units or so. When they had to switch to using China manufacturers, because this is the only way they could get the unit count that they needed, suddenly the problem they were trying to solve is how to ship air. Because this thing is 80% air. It's just bulky, big box that has air inside, and it's expensive to ship. And they weren't counting on shipping being such a large problem.
Okay.
So what happened is that they were trying to first they got the Kickstarter campaign, then they decided 2 years later that they're going to apologize to everybody because they didn't ship a single thing in 2 years. Then they were trying to get another round of backing because they wanted people to pay another something, a couple of dollars, I think it was $20 or so, in order to $97 to get expedited shipping on their coolers, and this actually meant that they were able to fulfill something like 10,000 orders out of 64,000. But okay, to cut the long story short, after what is it? 2014 was the initial Kickstarter. They folded in 2019, and they still haven't fulfilled something like 26,000 coolers. And out of those that actually came to the people who backed them, a lot of them were less than satisfactory quality.
Excellent.
So basically, long story on how to create a successful idea, start producing it, get the market interested, and then completely fail at actual production.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Actually, I have nothing to add to that. It's just horrible.
Yes. Okay. So let's see your part of the failures.
No, we are not going to see that. We're actually going to split this in two. Yeah. We're going to have to split this
so
in two.
this was just me. This was just me going through the biggest failures that I've seen.
Yeah. No, and the next next episode is going to obviously be me doing the same and you joining me. So,
okay,
Maestro, if you would please do the outro as well.
Okay, so we'll see your part of it next time, and I'm really looking forward to see what you have planned.
Okay. See you guys.
Okay.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.